First, we need to understand what is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is the one that is stored inside the nucleus of an atom and is obtained by two fundamental reactions, fission and fusion. The origins of the nuclear energy. The nuclear energy has been developed since the end of the 19th century until 1945, just after the Second World War. However, in the beginning, the scientists were more interested in developing the atomic bomb more than anything. However, in 1945, this energy was used in order to create electricity and for naval propulsion after the war. Since then, scientists have been actively working on developing a new form of bringing this energy to the world, since there has been several accidents in nuclear power plants in the past. Nuclear energy has had a really big impact in the scientific way, since the first works of Rutherford on radioactivity, when it was discovered the large amount of energy that a single atom is able to produce. This obviously originated a series of scientific discoveries that have been directly related with government interests. A good example of this is the atomic bomb and the nuclear race during the Cold War.
There are two basic concepts in nuclear energy: fission and fusion. Nuclear fission consists of producing energy by splitting the atoms. That energy can be used to create water steam that is used to move turbines that generate electricity. The most common element for fission is uranium, since it's easier to split.
Talking about the ambiental impact, since nuclear fusion can create 1 million times more energy than fossil fuels, it is actually a really clean energy when the conditions on which it is generated are good. Nuclear energy does not emit greenhouse gas emission, therefore it can actually substitute fossil fuels. However, nuclear energy has some health issues associated with electricity generation, and there's a really big risk regarding radioactivity. From the waste and the several post-radioactive accidents such as the Chernobyl incident in 1986 that create long-lasting negative impact for the environment.
Nowadays, nuclear power plants represent 11% of the global electricity generation. This is the reason why improved designs of nuclear power reactors are being developed all around the world. An example of this is the Generation 3 Advanced Reactor that has been operating in Japan since 1996. The cost for sustaining nuclear reactors is very low, which is why people are interested in them. However, the cost of the construction is elevated, which is why new reactors are being designed in order to reduce the inversion cost.
In the part of regulation, this causes the increment of nuclear investigation, also the development. This is important because today there are at least 30 different associations, governmental and NGOs, that are all around the world and whose main purpose is to regulate and maintain the nuclear energy production in a responsibility framework. For example, not to create something dangerous or attack any country. This also involves the aspects like protection and nuclear facilities, the safe use of this type of energy, the regulation of this equipment, technology, and waste. And some countries that form part of these NGOs are China, Australia, USA, Russia, Korea, UK, and other ones, as well the international organizations like International Law and the World Nuclear Association form part of this. Also, some advantages and disadvantages are that, as mentioned before, the most important advantage is that the energy is an enormous amount of energy that is produced by a small atom and with little production cost, as well as the fact that it does not contaminate as much as other types of energies. On the other hand, it's really risky because it's still unstable. The atom, the nature is unstable, and that has a really big amount of damage that the radioactivity can cause if there's occurred an accident. By this reason, we believe that scientific investigation needs to continue in order to improve the nuclear facilities.
My conclusion is that nuclear energies should be more regulated, and that even though it is a energy that gives a lot of product, and that scientists are interested in it because of the way it works, I believe that before creating more ways for obtaining it, countries should operate and try to make it safer, not just for the people who work on it, but for the people who are going to be living around those places.
Well, in conclusion, I think that nuclear energy is a good energy because it is green energy if you take care of it, if it doesn't get out of your control. So I think it's a good energy as long as it had those things that needs to have in order to don't create that massive disaster. So I think it has its benefits and it's a disadvantage, but I think that we can't get at some point that it could have more advantage than disadvantage.
So, in my conclusion, the nuclear energy is really useful because with just one place that it's in charge of do this stuff, you can help all the country to have energy because it produces like a really, really, really big amount of energy, but it's quite dangerous. So I think there should use this energy just in places that are not like too many people because um, if there occurs an incident, it could happen something similar to Chernobyl. So it's quite dangerous.
Nuclear energy is a very useful energetic source because it is eco-friendly and does not produce pollution.